At long last, the asset editor has been released, and I am thrilled to be able to share a brand new asset now available for download on PDX Mods, the Arc de Triomphe. This stunning new asset was created with painstaking detail by the talented Macwelshman. I am so excited to showcase it. My name is College Builder. I am a college dean by day, and by night I play Cities Skylines 2. If you've been following my channel, you will know I began building a Parisian-inspired city using the French region asset pack about 10 months ago. The city is playfully called Ile de Carrefour, or Crossroads Island, because of the city's geography. The moment the French region pack was released, I knew I wanted to create something special that felt like Paris, but that was still imaginative and didn't hold to any particular layout. But the one thing I wanted to replicate was the massive 8th Avenue roundabout in Paris called Place Charles de Gaulle. It is also known as L'Étoile, which translates as the star. This roundabout has been the center of the project, and today's showcase is the climax of that journey. I'm joined by the talented asset creator, Macwelshman. Many of you will know him as one half of the duo who created the UK region pack, as well as his prolific assets for CS1 on the Steam Workshop. Thanks for joining me today.
That's okay.
Congrats on the work that you've already done so far to bring Cities Skylines 2 to life. Now that we are a year out from the release of the UK region pack, how do you feel looking back on those assets?
I'm still quite proud of them, I have to admit. It was a labor of love, really, because it lasted such a long time. The initial commission was in start of 2020.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
So we were under NDA for 4 years, practically.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was. I think it had gone down pretty well, actually.
They're really beautiful. I know, myself included, many of us, we really enjoy using them in our builds. So as the game continues to develop with the new mechanics, the new updates, we're already starting to get new DLCs. Do you imagine there will be any future UK pack assets from you, or are you going to leave that up to the community?
Possibly. I've got some ideas, but the community have always been pretty good with that as well.
I imagine there'll be lots of things coming to PDX Mods very soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got a UK thing which I'm going to release this week at some point.
Oh, that's great.
Which is a remake of an asset which was released for CS1, the Senedd Cymru.
Oh, wow.
The Welsh Parliament.
Yeah.
Which I have already created and put into the game, but it hasn't been finalised yet. So that'll be made available as a city hall.
I love it. Oh, I can't wait to see it. As you look back at the various things that you've made, whether for the UK region pack, whether for CS1 or models you've built for other reasons, do you have any favorites so far?
There's a few which I'm quite proud of. There's a recent one which is a commission called Smith Tower, which is a really interesting building that was made available on CS1 about 3 or 4 months ago. And I have a soft spot for my first real delving into this kind of thing with my Monte Carlo assets that were created for Pug Gaming and his Monaco series back quite a long time ago now. But I made a whole series of the casino, opera house, the cafe, and the hotel. So all 3 of them were made available. So yeah, those were my first time getting good quality. Really, that's about 6 or 7 years ago now, I suppose.
Oh wow! How long have you been creating assets for CS1 and CS2, and how did you even get started in this?
2015, when they first got CS1.
Oh wow!
And I noticed there weren't any UK assets in it. I thought, well, this is, they're all just American. That's no good.
Right.
So I did a few British houses, and that's where I know they were terrible when I started off. But I mean, I've learned quite a lot in the last, what was it, 10 years, I suppose.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's and now it's become my career as well. So,
oh, that's incredible. So it sounds like a career and a passion.
I think it is, yeah. So there's a lot of things that I would probably be doing even if I wasn't getting paid for them. But don't tell anybody.
Sounds good. Coming to the present day, I approached you about 9 months ago to commission this particular asset, the Arc de Triomphe. And we discussed the possibility of working on it. And of course, at that time, the major challenge was no asset editor.
Yeah.
But now we have one. It's been released, and it's been a long journey. So maybe we start just talking about your own experience with the asset editor. You've been a part of a testing group, a kind of a beta team. So what's your assessment on the asset editor, where it is now as it's getting released to the public?
Well, it's interesting because, of course, I've been using it we used it for the region packs. And that was an even earlier version.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been using it quite a lot. And there was a big break. And then more recently, they've been supplying beta versions for us to test. It's still a bit raw, but I think they can improve it, and it'll it's quite complicated. It's a lot more complicated than the CS1 editor, basically because there's a lot more you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can have much better quality assets.
That's great. So it sounds like it's pretty different from CS1.
It is very different. It's more of an all-in-one, really, because it's the same editor for maps and props, and you can prop several buildings all at the same time, even though they're different assets.
Oh, interesting.
This is what we were doing for the UK region pack. We would do all like a certain type of house all lined up, and then you could just prop them all in one go.
Well, that sounds convenient and or efficient.
Yes, kind of efficient. It was quite intense as well, I have to admit, because there was my contribution to the UK pack was the largest one, and I had hundreds of assets, and you can imagine that adding bushes and this, that, and the other onto every house is
time-consuming. Yeah.
Really quite time-consuming, and it won't be as intense, obviously, for things like the Arc de Triomphe or any other building idea, because they'll be just individual buildings and they'll have less. But when you've got like a large collection of buildings, that's when it becomes more challenging.
So turning to the Arc de Triomphe, you have created a truly stunning landmark. It's iconic. It's recognizable worldwide. I'm wondering if it was daunting for you to attempt to recreate such a well-known structure.
Well, it's a little bit, because it's more to do with the textures on this asset than the actual modelling, really, because it's a fairly simple shape. But the amount of detail on the actual monument itself, the sculptures, the reliefs, stone reliefs, and all the inscriptions, the battle inscriptions. Right. There was a lot of work involved. So, yeah.
So you weren't one of the creators on the French region pack. Your focus was on the UK assets. So was it strange to go from working on UK assets, which have been a passion of yours, to working on something from the French side?
No, not really. I think because I've done so many commissions from various places around the world, to be fair, most of them are from the US. I've done some, international buildings. So it doesn't really matter where the building's from, if it's interesting. And the Arc de Triomphe was definitely interesting because there's a lot of all the texturing work that had to be done. And it comes to life when you do the texturing.
Well, speaking of the texturing, can you talk about your research and the preparation for it in terms of all of those textures, the surfaces, the inscriptions, and so on?
Yeah, I have to scour the internet for good quality images of all the reliefs and the statues and all that other stuff. It's really difficult to get hold of sometimes because you need them fairly straight on to use them as a basis to create.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it can be quite. Sometimes you just can't get all of the ones you want. Sometimes you have to kind of make do, as it were, with some of the less good quality. But it's surprising. Things like the Arc de Triomphe, though, is going to have a lot of good quality images because it's so famous and it's so photographed.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of places you can go to get hold of really high quality images.
Right.
The trouble is, a lot of people like to do artistic photographs of all of the angles and stuff, but that's no good for me.
Not helpful. Or if you were looking at the photos on my phone, all of the images would have had me as a selfie.
Yeah.
Yeah. From a real life comparison standpoint, how does the scale and detail compare from real life to what you've created for the game? I know that the real life version, for example, it's 50 meters tall. So thinking about that and kind of what you've created, how do you compare them?
It's life size. It's actually the exact dimensions of the real monument.
A 1-to-1.
I've tried to make everything on it, the sculptures and the statues, should I say, all the detail work. I've tried to make that as accurate as possible. It's true to life. There's probably some shortcuts used, but most of it, as you'll see, is pretty close to what you get to in reality.
That's great. How many squares does it take up in the game in terms of in-game squares?
It's 11 units. It's circular,
mm-hmm.
But it's 11 units in diameter, I suppose.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's not too bad, actually. Not too big.
That's one thing I really love as a difference between CS1 and CS2 is the ability to have circular assets.
Yeah, you could have. There was a circular option in CS1, but in the editor, but I never quite understood what it was. It didn't seem to make any difference. There you go. Yes, it's interesting. One of the wonderful things about CS2 editor is that you don't have restrictions on lot size. You can make them really big. It was a real bugbear of mine in CS1. Often there was a limit on the number of triangles you could have in a building in CS1. And to get something which had a lot of triangles and was quite large, you had to split it up into small pieces and import it as separate sub-buildings.
Right.
It was utter nightmare. I hated it. But you don't have to do that in CS2. You can just import. So I've recently created St. Paul's Cathedral.
Wow.
Which I will release on PDX mods in the next couple of months, I should think. And that you'd absolutely no chance of getting that in CS1.
That's great. I will be using that asset for sure.
There's one other building which I'll be releasing very soon, which is the US Capitol building, which was commissioned nearly 2 years ago now. And at the time, they've already commissioned for it to be in CS2. So I have an obligation to put that in,
right?
Make it that available. So that'll be up fairly soon. That's a big building.
It is. As you worked on the Arc, I'm curious, were there details that you had to leave out?
I left out some of the bits and pieces on the roof. There was various kind of sort of sections, little kind of glass pieces and stuff like that, but which I don't think were important. As it is, I've got steps walking up onto the roof. But anywhere else, I don't think so, no. I mean, I pretty much tried to get most of it there. Most of the important stuff, anyway.
Where in the CS2 menu will players find this? How will it be classified? in terms of landmark or tourist attraction or park?
It'll be available as a signature building and in monuments, signature monument. But also that comes with 4 props, which are the statues. I made those props so that they could have their own textures, so the quality was better. So those come with it, and also it comes with the pedestrian underpass entrance. The props obviously they'll be in the parks and recreation prop menu, and the underpass. I believe will be in the parks and recreation as a building as well. I think.
I love that. One thing I think the game has definitely needed is more statues. So that I think players are going to absolutely love.
Well, it'd be quite handy to have those 4 statues because they work as a separate statue. They have a flat back,
right? But
because the statues are actually against the 3 main arch columns, so they don't have a back. But even so, and then they still work.
That's great. What sort of in-game impacts does it have? Are there any buffs or citywide or area impacts?
What did I do? There's got a XP increase. It's got attractiveness, quite a big attractiveness increase. Other than that, I'm not sure. I'm still getting my head around the setting up all the different settings in it. There's so many.
I'm imagining seeing homeless tents set up around it as homeless citizens move in to the Arc.
I think I set it up so it doesn't allow homelessness, I think.
Oh, okay. Very good. This landmark, you've already talked about this, has so many inscriptions, reliefs, statues, details. How do you create all of that detail in a single asset and also account for optimizing the triangles?
Well, the statues are the biggest triangle count in a sense, because it's difficult to create them without giving them the proper shape. The textures use a lot of 3D tricks and of normal maps and stuff like that give detail where there isn't actually geometry. And as does all the reliefs and things. The reliefs have used normal maps to give that effect of more geometry than is there, and it can be quite effective, especially if you add a little bit of detail in there, which is not many triangles, but it just gives it a bit more kind of depth.
We didn't start off when you and I were talking about this project. We didn't start off talking about a triangle limit. But I know from another interview you gave that you did have triangle limits for the UK region pack assets. So I'm curious how this compares to, say, the infirmary that you made for the UK asset pack, and whether it's similar, whether that has more, what we're talking about.
With the region pack, because it was a pack of buildings, it was important that, and they were growables as well, that they didn't have much of an impact on the game. The signature buildings in the packs could be larger and have higher triangle counts, and that's what they also say in the guidelines for asset creators. For instance, the infirmary in the UK pack is about 100,000 triangles, and the Arc de Triomphe is 63,000, that is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But so it's not too bad. The statues are about 5k each.
Okay.
But they all have LODs that reduce in triangle count as you go further back, so that helps.
As I've watched the details of this come together, I've really been in awe of everything you've put into this, including the subtle stains and aging. Obviously, this is a very old monument. Construction started on the real-life version back in 1806, and it wasn't finished until 1836. So we're talking about a monument that has significant age to it. I'm curious what your approach was to creating something that looked like it had age and history.
That's something I'm quite used to, actually. All of my CS1 assets, I have weathering of some sort on them. And all the assets that we created for the UK region pack also had weathering on them. All the roofs had moss and lichen. Mm-hmm. For instance, I don't know if you've used the UK parish church, for instance. That is very weathered. I mean, when you're talking about old buildings, that's particularly, I mean, that's based upon a church which is like 13th century. So, it's the weathering on it is significant, but it tells a story.
That's great. I do really love the church in the UK pack. You can see that history in it on the roof and on the walls and the tombstones. You can really see the work that went in to create all of that weathering.
You see, I like to put a little details. A lot of the, I don't know if you've noticed, the tombstones have all got funny names on them.
Individual, yeah, there's some real Easter eggs there.
Yeah, there's Kurt Cobain and
right.
things like that. I always hide my MW logo in my assets, and the Arc de Triomphe is no different. It's in there, on there somewhere, to be found.
To be found. Okay, fair enough. I was going to ask if you thought there were any special details or Easter eggs that are hidden in the Arc that players might miss, or that you would want them to look out for.
One.
Okay, yeah, there's one.
Because I did it on all my UK region pack assets as well. They've all got an MW. All the ones I did have got an MW logo somewhere on them.
It sounds like a challenge for players to go and find.
Yeah, I just think it's fun, because they've all my assets on the CS1 also have them as well.
So let's talk about the Underpass. You already mentioned that. In real life, tourists access the Arc by going underground. Obviously, it's in the middle of a giant roundabout. Tourists don't just cross the road. That's something I know Biffa would really hate if we created the Arc here in the game, but everyone had to walk through the middle of the roundabout. So we talked about creating the Underpass, but I know that was a logistical challenge. So I'm curious kind of about those technical challenges and what you did to resolve it.
Well, I'm not entirely sure I have resolved it, really. What I wanted to do was to create an entrance for a pedestrian path that you would connect an underground pedestrian path from one of them to a duplicate of it. But I haven't been able to do it. I've tried to get some help from others, but it's going to have to be an invisible pedestrian path, and a key and move it, I think. And then it should be work okay. You'll have to bring up the invisible path up down the steps of one entrance and the ground to the next, and up the steps of the other one. That should work. Mm-hmm. But I shall continue trying to find a solution. But at the moment, I haven't found a proper solution, I would call. I was surprised that it wasn't there, actually. I'd assumed that it would be fairly simple. The way it's done really in the vanilla game is that you, in the same way that it was done in CS1, actually, you take a pedestrian path, right, and you sink it into the ground and underneath, and what happens at the other end, it kind of creates an entrance. Right. But that's a network, and it doesn't have a model at the end of it, whereas I've created a series, like a steps, which go into the ground, and that doesn't seem to be the part of the mechanic.
The steps you created are beautiful. I think many players will want to use those as props at different places in their city. So it's a perfect addition. And hopefully Paradox sees this as something worth investing some time in.
Yeah. It's not actually a prop.
Oh, it's not a prop.
It's saved as a building, but it doesn't have other kind of building properties.
Got it. I understand.
You can, well, presumably, if you've got Anarchy and Move It, you can move it wherever you like. But
right,
by default, it snaps against the road, rather like underground
right
entrances would do, or subways, as they're called.
Got it. Well, I think it's gonna be a great addition. So another logistical question. You mentioned the roof. In real life, tourists go onto the roof. That's where they get their view of the city.
Well, I have created that. There are pedestrian links to the roof. In my testing so far, I haven't seen anybody go up there.
Okay.
But they might.
They might.
It's quite tricky. It's quite tricky to control where people go on assets because they tend to do they tend to follow the shortest route to places. And if they haven't got a reason to go somewhere, they don't tend to go. This was an issue I found in some of the UK schools that we did. I wanted the playgrounds to be full of children, but they just didn't want to go to those places, even though they were connected. But
right,
some of them did, but not very much. So I think it's one of those things. It'd be interesting to see if we can control it in the future.
Many players ask about recolor options. So I'm curious, what sort of recolor ability is there for the Arc?
I've added one channel to it because really there's only one main texture on it. Really, there's the stone. You can change the stone color. I'm not entirely sure what you'd want to, but you can make it darker, I suppose, or lighter. But yeah, it's got the one channel, so you wouldn't be able to do more than that. But I don't see the reason why there's nothing else on it, really.
Right. Does that apply to the statues as well?
The statues and the entrance, Underpass entrance.
So the asset editor is now out in beta, and hopefully we're going to see many new assets. And it sounds like including many new ones from you in the coming weeks or months. So I'm curious what else you have planned in the future.
Well, I'm going to be converting a good number of the CS1 assets that I've created for CS2. Some of them, I've done so many commissions. I'm sure a lot of the people who commissioned the buildings will want to have a small commission for me to convert it. But I'm in quite a fortunate position that because I was part of the region pack creators, so since 2020, I've made all my assets compatible with CS2. So I've been making 4K textures for 5 years.
Wow.
And it's not going to be that lengthy a process to convert them.
That's great. Oh, I can't wait to see everything now that the editor is out and just to see what all is going to be available. I think it's going to be a huge addition to the game.
Yeah.
And if players wanted to commission something from you, or if they just wanted to see the other work that you've done, how would they do that?
I will have a link on each of my assets in PDX mods, which is a link to an estimate request. At the moment, there's also, if you go to the CS1 on Steam, the workshop there, all my assets have links to CS1, and there's also a separate CS2 estimate request link. So those are all there as well. But I also take commissions for other assets as well, not for Cities Skylines at all. So any other assets as well, or other 3D models.
Where are those available to see, the other commissions that you've made?
All the commissions I do, most of the personal projects, are made available for sale on the Fab marketplace. I've got quite a lot of them up there. I also have some on Turbo Squid, which is another 3D model marketplace. So yeah, there's quite a lot on Fab, which is the main one. It's most of my income, really. At least it has been in the last couple of years since been waiting for the editor to come out.
Sure. I will put the link to your Fab page in the description for the video if people want to find it. Well, I just want to thank you again. It's been a lot of fun hearing about your process and talking with you and seeing what you've created. And I know, like myself, many players are going to be very excited to place the Arc de Triomphe into their cities.
I hope so, yeah, I'm sure they will.
Looking forward to seeing what you create in the future.
Yeah, so, well, just watch this space.
Great. Thank you. I hope all of you are excited as I am to have the Arc de Triomphe in your game, and the many more assets that are now available on PDX Mods. I know so many more will be added soon. Thank you for following along the journey with my Paris-inspired city. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you get notified of the next episodes in the journey. And of course, please check out the next video on the screen.